Rolling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action.
So, speaking more about the family that I come from, the heroin family I come from, I want to put this little section in my book, my autobiography, Raised by Wolves, where I talk about one night where my mother was waiting for her husband to come and meet her. It was their anniversary, their wedding anniversary. He's supposed to come meet her in our neighborhood, our old neighborhood, because by this time we were living in the Bronx. So he's supposed to be coming to meet her at a bar that was a spot in our neighborhood that, was like a family spot. And so it's called the Moonlight. So he was supposed to come meet her at the Moonlight, but he didn't show up. And her best friend showed up, and they started talking, and so this is about that section right there, about that event or that period of time. So many out of control and tragic events during my childhood began at the Moonlight. But there's one night that stands out beyond all others. The following year, on the eve of their wedding anniversary, V, my mother, was waiting for June, her husband, at the ill-fated pub. June had been out of the house for a few days prior, presumably handling their business. Barbara came along, that's her best friend, for the ride, and as she and my mother settled onto their bar stools, V ordered drinks. She tipped with dollars and keeping the quarters to call our apartment to see if June had come in. As the night wore on, it became increasingly apparent that he was going to be a no-show. The two women sat in the bar drinking and talking money. My mother spoke frankly to her oldest and dearest friend. You think $1 million is a lot of money, but when you have $1 million, so many things can come up when you got children and this, that, and the other. Before you know it, it's gone. So that's a pertinent point that a lot of the people who got involved with street life, they never understood that when you struggling and you trying to get yourself up and you get up, you think that, oh, I'm up, I'm here, I'm good, I'm here. And then you kind of maybe fall back, or you think that you can't fall off because, well, shit, I got $1 million. I can't, ain't no coming back from this. I'm done. This is, from here, it can only be up because I'm up, and that's not true at all. In fact, thinking that is exactly what will bring you down. Thinking that you are in a position financially where there's no way that you could ever be jammed or that you could ever be, without. That's not the case at all. But when you don't come from a background of people who've ever had any money, you don't know this. You don't know the nature of money. You don't know how money works at all. So your relationship with money is a retarded one. And I say retarded, I mean retarded in the true sense of the word. Retarded, meaning it isn't working the way it was supposed to work. That's what retarded means. The process has been retarded. The process has been broken, and a lot of people, a lot of cats in the street was hustling retarded. A lot of cats, more so now. I think the retards of my time, which were relatively few, a lot of people were not really all that sharp, but the game was so close-knit and so relatively tight that even the ones who weren't very sharp, they didn't have but so much wiggle room. There wasn't so much damage they were going to be allowed to do. They were being kept in a certain space, otherwise you're going to get pushed out or pushed off the planet. As things became more open, as cocaine became more prominent, like I said, I come from a heroin dynasty. That was a very tight environment. Cocaine loosened that up. You could get cocaine for virtually anybody. Back in the days when money was money in the street and heroin was king, there was maybe 4 people who that dope was coming from. And no matter who had it on the street, You could always trace it back to one of those 4 people. So at the point at which, cats started getting into the game and coming from people who were like regular people, who had like regular jobs and had never had any money in their lives, and all of a sudden, they're 17-year-old, 18-year-old in 1988, 87 is making, $10,000 a day. What does a kid who comes from 2 working class poor people or that kind of home background, what do they know about building wealth? It's a difference between building wealth and making money. Anybody can make money. It takes a special individual with a special knowledge to build wealth. Building wealth is establishing a foundation that is going to secure you and your family from a financial perspective for generations to come. Not just you for as long as you can avoid getting your brains blown out, or avoid getting put in prison, or avoid picking up a habit that you can't manage before you implode, some shit like that. Like that's not really how it was meant to be. But without having a background where people know what the terrain looks like, know where the pitfalls are, know how people will fall off without even recognizing that they've fallen off, without having somebody to be able to give you that kind of insight, that kind of foresight, you're sure as shit gonna crash and burn. And in this environment today, crashing and burning, it's not just the guy in the driver's seat. It's the guy in the passenger seat. It's the guys in the back. It's the guys that's in the car following the car. Everybody just gets all fucked up because you got 1 or 2 inexperienced, lacking knowledge of what the game requires individuals who are in the driver's seat. And because they're making $2 over lunch money, or 10,000 over lunch money, or 10 million over lunch money, people automatically assume they must know something. They must be in special possession of a special knowledge or something, an exclusive. They're not. You can get on the diving board and, spring up there and do a beautiful layout and back flip and twist and tuck and, just this incredible swan. But if there's no water in the pool, you fucked up. It don't matter. You look real good, son, but you ended badly. You understand what I'm saying? Like, y'all have to, all you aspiring kingpins, you aspiring Scarfaces, you aspiring Big Meeches, like, you need to check yourself, man. You need to really check your direction, check your process. Figure out what it is that you're really trying to do. Are you just trying to be seen? You just trying to be validated? Are you just trying to get somebody to pat you on the back, or pat you on the head, or pat you on the ass, talking about, you got it, champ, you the man? If that's what you're looking for, man, you should probably go get you a regular gig, man. You can get all of that, and they give you a certificate and put your picture on the wall, say employee of the month and all that shit. And you ain't got to worry about somebody coming trying to check your check or break your fucking neck because you shining so bright, and you can't call the police if a motherfucker come and put that thing in your face and take everything you got. You can't call the police, motherfucker, run up in your motherfucking house and tie everybody the fuck up and, may or may not leave you motherfuckers alive. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't the thing to be doing. That ain't the thing to be doing. If you are doing it so that somebody will see you, so that you'll finally get attention, so you'll finally get recognized. If you want to impress somebody, survive. If you want to impress somebody, don't go to prison. Get the bag. Don't go to prison. You want to impress somebody. You want to impress an intelligent, thinking person. Make better choices. Know when you've won. If you started out busted, broke, nothing. And you look up one day and you are riding in a $90,000 car. There's an assumption that along with that car, you have a whole lifestyle that goes with that. Recognize that you've already won, and that you can get to that point under the circumstances of being chased constantly, being scrutinized constantly by your friends, your family, the police. If you can deal with that paranoia and still be able to function well enough that you can move forth in that existence and acquire wealth or make money, then understand that it's not about doing that. It's about taking that opportunity that you have been able to get something out of and moving away from the detriment, taking the benefits and changing your life, making sure that you don't end up doing more damage and harm to your offspring than good. You got a lot of guys who got in the game because they never had anything. Their parents were never able to give them the things they wanted. They wanted to be able to do more for theirs. So they say, fuck it, I'm gonna go throw bricks at the penitentiary, as we used to say, right? And they start getting money and, first is I just want to be able to provide a little extra, for my family, whatever. And before you know it, extra is fucking, $10,000 gold necklaces for your 2-year-old. Like, you could have done something to help secure that child's future. You buying a $10,000 piece of jewelry or a $1,000 outfit for a 2-year-old and shit like that. That ain't about you caring about your child, looking out for your child, trying to secure your child. That's about you perpetuating your ego. That's you trying to extend your showing off. How many cars can I drive at one time? They can only see me in one car at a time. I got more money than I know what to do with. All I know how to do is consume, buy. I don't know how to create anything. I don't know how to invest to build anything. So the only way I can really validate the fact or verify the fact that I'm getting this bread is to consume, to buy things, and then put myself on display. But I can be on display with so much. I have to extend this. So I got to overdo it with my wife. Or my girl. I got to overdo it with my kids. But you get them accustomed to a lifestyle that requires you to have to put your life at risk constantly. And in most instances, you're going to end up meeting that risk, meeting what that threat is. So you're either going to end up locked up or you're going to end up dead. Now, you were doing it, you say, to get you some bread so you could look out for your family, move into some place nice, give them nice things and so forth. But now here it is, your kid is 5 years old. You're gone. You in prison for the next 25, 30 years or you're dead. You've left your child with this inflated sense of self based upon the aesthetics that you provided, this cover, these clothes and this presentation, right? So this is what they know. And they get the responses that they get. People always talk about, oh, they're so cute, and oh, it looks so nice, and look at you with your little this and your little that, and you so. That becomes their sense of self-worth. That becomes their sense of value, right? But you're no longer around to provide that for them, right? So now they're left in the world. They see their mother struggling. They see their mother suffering because you're no longer there to provide that extra lifestyle that they've gotten accustomed to for those 1 or 2 years, 3 years that you were able to do it. They get about 10, 11 years old, you're missing. They're trying to connect with the idea of you. People are telling how much they remind you or them of their father. You remind me of your father. You look so much like your father. And let me tell you about what your father used to do for me and how we used to do and how he used to do that. And so they're being given the idea that this person, although it cost him his life or his freedom, this person was revered and was respected and was valued because of the risks that he took. And for me to be one, connected with him, doing what he did might make a lot of sense. Taking the kinds of risks that he took might make a lot of sense. Plus, it makes me feel like I'm closer to him, even though I don't even know him, because he's been gone since I was 5 years old, and I'm 17 now. I'm 20 now. You know what I'm saying? So now you've created this thing. You've created this cycle. You've created this cycle where you have this child who's trying to connect with some man or woman that he never really got a chance to know because you got removed. All he knows is what people say about you. And what are people going to say? You had this, you did that, you was this, and you had all this. That's what they're going to say to them. So they're going to get that that's what people value in people. And this is the way that I can connect with my missing father, my missing mother. You just infected them with your sickness. And now they're put in a position where they're going to be making choices that are going to lead them down the same road, only you're not going to be there to give them the guidance they need based upon the experience you've had. Even if you're able to talk to them, you can't raise a kid from the penitentiary, man. You cannot do that. You know what I mean? So you end up creating this legacy. You end up creating this burden, and they're born to that burden, trying to be like somebody they don't even know. Because believe me, if you went to prison when your child was 5 years old, they don't know you. They don't know you. They only know what people say, and if they come to visit you, then they only know you in that environment. They only know you in this prison environment in which things never change. So as far as you're concerned, life is the same, but they're in the world as life is changing, especially without you. Your environment, everything is staying the same. So you're speaking to them from a position of stagnance, and they're receiving the information in a condition of continuous change, having to adapt and so forth. You can't speak to that, what they need to do. You're not out there to see what they need to do. You're speaking about how it was when you were on the street, when you were in the world, and the world changes very, very quickly, more quickly now than it did 25 years ago. There wasn't a big difference between 1950 and 1960, but there was a huge difference between 1980 and 1990, and there was an even greater difference between 1990 and 2000. And here we are in 2020. Huge difference between, oh shit, Y2K, and now, you know what I mean? Like, now the idea of all the computers falling, going back to zero is a ridiculous concept. The world changes very, very quickly now. So for you to be able to sit in prison and think you can give your son, whom you left at 5 and is now 20, some kind of insight about how he needs to navigate in the world that you've been out of for the last 15 years is a ridiculous concept. Now, if you're watching this 9 times out of 10, you're not in prison yet. I'm giving you insight into a potentiality that can result from those choices you're making right now. So I'm not here to judge your behavior. I did what I thought I had to do, but I grew to understand that I could do more. And you may get that opportunity, but you don't know how much time you have. You may need to make the decision about doing something different right now. And I can tell you for a fact, it ain't gonna be easy. Not by a long shot. But just because it isn't easy doesn't mean it isn't necessary. And just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's not worth the effort. If you want a different outcome, then you're gonna have to make some different choices. Change is a scary prospect. I've been there, I understand that. But it's worth it if you can find the courage to do it. You can run out and pop a nigga head off. If you ain't scared of, going to prison for the rest of your life or going to hell after you die, then you shouldn't be afraid to make a different choice. A choice that will not only impact your outcome, but ultimately impact the outcome of your children. I talk to the kids who are the children of, cats like, Griselda, and Alpo's son and Rich Porter's daughter and Pablo Escobar's son and Freeway Rick Ross's son and my man Convertible Rick's son, down there, Convertible Bert, down there in Miami. Like I talk to their kids, and all of their kids contend or have contended, because, you know, Akbar prayed his kids, they contended with the legacy and the confusion that was left in the vacuum created by their fathers, or, you know, Michael Corleone's case, his mother's absence. And that confusion impacts their sense of self, their identity, their priorities, and it has caused them to have issues. It's caused them to make decisions that seem counterintuitive. You figure if you lost your mother, your father to the system, to the game, you think the last thing you would want to do is play the game. But for the reasons that I've listed earlier and many more, it works the way it works, not the way you think it works. And when people are looking to identify with somebody who's been removed from their life, who has been, you know, an important figure to them, and is an important figure in the person developing, they do things that don't really make sense. You know, they're trying to connect. They're human, they're trying to connect. And when you're making choices as a person right now who watching this, you might be 19 years old, you might be 20 years old, you might be 18 years old, whatever. You might have a 2-year-old and you think that being able to buy them 2 or 3 pairs of Jordans and being able to go out and spend thousands of dollars for Christmas or thousands of dollars for, you know, a birthday, you think that is worth it. That feeling you get, I've been there. I've bought the cars and I bought the fur coats and I bought the diamonds and all that shit and watched, you know, the person to whom I'm giving it receive it and feel, you know, or give off a sense of feeling this, you know, just incredible appreciation. And it's a great feeling. But at some point, you have to think about what else can come from these choices I'm making right now, aside from being able to buy nice things for people, provide them with nice things, and be able to give them the things that they want or they need at the points when they want to need them. Something else may come from the actions I'm taking to satisfy those needs. And if you don't figure out how to get out of the way of those things before they come about, then you're most certainly going to break your own heart. So, again, think critically if you want to live wonderfully. The Mind Plug out. Peace.